So let's break down what's going on here a little bit. It's a pretty simple concept, but there are a few cool little devices that he uses. So the beginning starts out, besides that bend, it starts out with chromatic notes. Then it goes down the scale, and before it does, it throws in a little bend. So then it goes to... Now here, he does a thing where this is the fifth of F, right? The next note he goes to is this note here, which is the major third. So in between there, he skipped the fourth note. Now, that is, it's interesting that he skips that note, because that's one of those notes that could either be, he could either be doing, right, and getting down to that major third, or he could be doing this. Right? And what that is your Lydian note. It's either a natural fourth or 11th or a sharp 4. And when he does this, he skips that note. And he still skips that note. So here he's playing the major 7 to the root, right? So he goes major 7 root, back to that major third. Then he does a chromatic walk down from these notes, which again is, he's playing the major 7 to the major 6 to the minor 6. Or I'm sorry, the major 7 to the minor 7, or flat 7, to the major 6. So this walk down at the beginning was a major third, minor third, to the 2nd or the 9th. And then this is the major 7, flat 7 to 6. And chromatically, I mean, that just works. You're targeting the 9th and you're targeting the major 6th. So far we have chromatic movement, walking down with a bend in it, skipping a note, which is a fourth, which again could either be a natural 4 or a sharp 4. Walking back up the scale, chromatic movement. And you have this movement, which again is, it's the same exact pattern, going down then going up. And then this is where he introduced that fourth. You have your major 7 to the root, then you have your major third, and then you have the fourth. Now he could have just played the natural 4 there, right? So you could have had right? It just doesn't sound as hip. That Lydian note just sounds really cool, right? Or he could have went up here instead of playing that sharp 4. He could have played the 5th, so he could have done or he could have done both, right? So there's a whole bunch of, again, I'm trying to show you the little concepts that are being used that are making this sound less like just running up and down a scale. He's throwing in little bits of different things in there. And again, if you want to experiment with playing your own thing, if you have a choice between playing the natural 4, the sharp 4, or that 5th, you can alternate between whatever you want. You can play that 5th to the 4th, and then introduce that sharp 4, which is the Lydian note, which is really cool. And then he just goes down, pretty much just scales, right? And the rest is pretty simpler. But again, he's doing just a pattern, a bunch of patterns, and he's shifting down scale positions. All right, guys. So that was a pretty quick lesson, I think, but it had a lot of cool little ideas and concepts in it. So what I would do is I would take this, and I mean, I'd learn the whole thing so you can actually get the feel of playing all those ideas where you're putting chromatics in there, skipping notes, throwing in a Lydian note, and then moving down scale patterns, positions, that kind of thing. And get that under your fingers and really get it going. And then I would take little concepts out of this and start incorporating them into your own playing. And I do it one at a time. So again, I would say the concepts were, throwing in a chromatic note. So playing your scale runs, but say you're playing a major scale, there's 8 notes in it. Instead of playing up and down all those notes, even sequencing a little, every once in a while throw in a chromatic note, and that will break up the monotony of sounding like it's just a major scale. Then I would, after you start doing that, every once in a while throw in a chromatic note, then go into every once in a while throw in a bend. So when you're playing the scale and you're doing your runs, when you get to a note, bend up to the next pitch in that note or in that scale. And then the third thing is I would start experimenting with skipping notes. So you're playing a 7 or 8 note scale, or even a pentatonic, a 5-note scale. I would then start with the major scale. Pentatonics, you basically are skipping notes in, a minor or major scale. But what I would do with a major scale is every once in a while skip a note, and then come back and throw in a note maybe that might even be outside the scale, like a sharp 9 or a sharp 11, sharp 4, flat 5, whatever. And what this will do is, again, for me, I take it methodically. So I won't try all these things at once. I will spend a week or two just inserting a chromatic note every once in a while. And the reason why I say every once in a while is because if you just start throwing chromatic notes all over the place, it just sounds chromatic-y. Whereas if you, like that, how he skips over that 4th, and in this whole thing, he doesn't play the 4th except for that one time when he plays it twice, and he plays the sharp 4. So the whole time you're not hearing any 4ths. And then all of a sudden you hear a sharp 4, which really stands out. That Lydian note. So anyway, so those are the concepts, and I would, like I said, take them one at a time, take it slowly and methodically, and just start trying to incorporate that into your playing, and eventually you'll start playing scales more like Guthrie does, or guys that are really, far along in their playing, where it just doesn't sound like scales. It sounds like they're doing so much else. And it really is just scales, skipping notes, throwing in bends, or, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that lesson. We will talk more about this kind of concept of how to get out of that whole rut of running up and down scales and arpeggios. And I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you on the next lesson. Thanks.